So I played all three of the big shooters that are out for this holiday season. We're talking about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, and Titanfall 2. And I want to talk about my thoughts on each one and which one is my favorite. So the first one I played was Titanfall 2. In Titanfall 2, you're a futuristic soldier, and you get to control a giant robot, a mech, through roughly half the game. You're constantly in and out of it. And it's just like Call of Duty, but with robots. But the big draw for me was the fact that you get to wall run, and the way they call it parkour, and you get to do that through the levels. And there's a lot of stages that are like, it's kind of set up like Mario type of level. You're platforming through the levels as well as shooting. So that I thought that was really cool dynamic, and just something that I've never really experienced in a shooter before. Shooters are, of course, a dime a dozen. There's a million of them since the PS2 days, and or the original Xbox days, and they've been changed a lot over the years, and this is just another change, and it's a really welcome one for me. I really enjoyed Titanfall 2. In these games, I'm talking about mainly just the campaign. I haven't put too much. I'm not a competitive shooter guy, so I haven't really put a lot of time into the online multiplayer aspect of any of these games. I played a little bit of it, but that's not my main focus. My main focus is a single player. So going back to Titanfall 2, the game was really cool. I love the parkour elements of it. That combined with the shooting, you're shooting while you're running on a wall, and then there's certain levels where the platforms shift mechanically or whatever, and you have to change your trajectory on the fly or whatever. It is really cool though. They got some really inventive levels, and I love to see a part 3 like this. And so yeah, that was my opinion of Titanfall 2. I really enjoyed it. The shooting also, the shooting is just good. The movement is so just smooth and fluid. I don't know what it was. It's just maybe this the way the character strafed. It just felt really smooth and really fluid. It just felt really good all around. Just felt really good. The next game I played was Battlefield 1, and it's kind of hard to go back to just standard, just standing there and shooting. After coming off of Titanfall 2, where you're running around and you're jumping and wall running and all this other cool stuff that I don't really want to spoil. But yeah, pretty much in this game, it's your world. It's World War. I can't even talk. It's World War One, and you're just shooting old weapons. But surprisingly, there's a lot of automatic weapons, like fully automatic weapons, for a World War One game. It's a game, so they had to gamify it, and I can't see you don't want to be shooting an old single shot rifle, in a game, especially online. That'd be so tedious and horrible. I understand why they did what they did, but with that said, the game is still just, I don't know, it just seems so slow and just so on course with how games have been back in the day, back in the Xbox One days, where we always had the World War II shooter. Like, I can't tell the difference between this game and any other World War II shooter that was out back then. And then there's the thing that I thought was really strange was they put a black dude on the cover of the game, and they advertised it as that's the only guy I ever seen on the cover of the game was a black dude. He has his cape and he's holding some weird looking gun, but he looks really cool. But when you play the game, so I'm thinking the game is about him. I don't know. So when you play the game, they have him, not him actually, it didn't even look like him in the game, but it's a dude, and so you know he's in the middle of the war and he's seeing all the chaos that's going on and he defends himself, and then you know I guess you go into his boots and you start fighting, and then he dies. And then, you know, the chaos is all around you and everything. And then you go into another guy's body. And then you're fighting as this new guy. And then he eventually he dies. And then it says like the year he was born, the year he died, his name and everything. And then you go like through 12, you know, different guys before that segment ends. And so I'm assuming they're all, I don't know, they're all just dudes. I mean, I can't say they're nameless because they all give them a name in the year they were born, the year they died, but they're just, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so, all right, well, let's see the rest of his story of the guy that's on the cover or whatever. And then it goes to these other characters, and there's like 4 or 5 different stories that they tell. There's a pilot, there's a woman, there is a, I don't know, some other guy that has a gun. And then there's what other character is there? Oh, there's this guy, he has a big old like a suit of armor or something. And he's like the Spanish. But none of them are, and they all have 4 or 5, you know, different segments to their story. But the black guy, he just has the one the one section to his story, and he's not even, you know, he's sharing it with like a whole bunch of other dudes. So it's like, why even put him on the cover if he's not even in the game really? He's just, you know, he's in the game for 5 seconds before he gets killed, and now there's a whole bunch of other dudes in the story. I don't know. You know what, to be honest though, I haven't played the whole game, so I guess it's not fair for me to make that judgment, but you get to play like Mega Man style. You get to play everybody's story out of order. You could get to choose, you know, who you want to play at any time. And you could play their story and, you know, whatever. But I don't know. So anyway, I thought that was kind of strange. It's not that big of a deal, but whatever. And so there's this one character that I played, and he's I guess he's been assigned the guy to drive the tank. So I'm going through the level, and I remember doing this before in a past game. Maybe it was a Battlefield, I don't remember, but they kick you out of this. They kick you out of the tank. They want you to scout ahead so that they can, I don't know, see who's above ahead of you, so they can ambush them or whatever. So you scout ahead. You see the guys. I just start shooting at them. And then all hell breaks loose, and, you know, the tank starts shooting at them. They start shooting at the tank. They're shooting, I don't know, some kind of rockets or grenades or something at the tank. And so the tank is getting damaged. I'm running beside the tank, and so I'm shooting guys as the tank is shooting guys. Everybody else is, you know, safe inside the tank, but for some reason I'm outside the tank. Anyway, the tank is getting destroyed, and I guess I'm also not only the driver of the tank, but I'm also a mechanic. So I have to pull out the wrench tool, and I'm turning the wrench as the tank is being destroyed. I'm healing the tank by just turning the wrench on like anywhere on the tank. It doesn't matter if it's the treads or if it's the, you know, the side of it or whatever. It just, you know, it's just healing the tank or whatever. So I mean, very exciting gameplay, especially coming off of Titanfall 2, where I'm platforming off of all kind of stuff. I'm flipping, jumping, shooting dudes, you know, while I'm like jumping over their heads off of a wall, jumping from wall to wall. I'm standing beside a tank, and then, you know, turning a crank. It's just, oh my God. So, and then there's other parts of the game where you get to fly as a fighter pilot. And that's pretty cool. Kind of reminded me of the Star Wars Battlefront parts where you fly the X-Wing. But, you know, I just couldn't get into it. I didn't finish it. And I played a little bit of the multiplayer. Just, I played the beta a while ago too. I just couldn't get into it. Another thing I didn't like about the game, I couldn't get into aiming down the iron sights. I would be playing online, and then my whole gun would get in the way. And this is probably, I'm sure this is just on me. This is my fault or whatever. But after coming off of a game where you have, your EOTech style sights, you have your good optics that are separate from the gun. You have a little dot, and you have a lot of space around that dot to just see, above, below, left and right of the dot. Coming from that and then jumping into a game to where you are playing with iron sights, to where your gun is covering the lower half of the whole screen. When you have it in iron, when you zoom in and pull that left trigger, a few times I would hold it, just in panic from, zooming in or whatever. Oh, I see the guy, and I jump on the left trigger, and my whole gun covers him up because I'm aiming too high. So now I have no idea where the guy is, because, the iron sights are, of course, fixed to the gun itself. They are a part of the gun, and now I'm covering the guy up, and now I have to, as I'm lowering the weapon, he's shooting at me. He's shooting me because, obviously he's better than me. But yeah, so I just in most of the weapons they use the iron sights. So especially me, I wasn't advanced enough. Maybe you can get like the unlocked loadouts and all that stuff. I didn't have any of that. Whereas Titanfall, you get that from the beginning. I can't remember a gun that had the iron sights in Titanfall. That's like old technology, right? But I'm sure there probably was one or two, but I didn't choose it because it's garbage. But so wasn't a fan of the Battlefield 1. And finally, the last game I played was the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This game was really cool. I really enjoyed it. This was one of the most enjoyable Call of Duties I've played in a long time. The story was pretty easy to follow. They didn't give you a lot of reason why. Okay, so this is another futuristic game, just like Titanfall 2. You're warping from planet to planet in a spaceship. You're a commander of, your fleet or whatever, but you also, boots on the ground and start, taking dudes out. So you're fighting against this group that, went out to colonize other planets, but for some reason, I guess over the years or whatever, decided, hey, you know what? We don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. So, you know what? Screw you guys. We're going off on our own. And I guess maybe Earth was like, Earth was like, hey, you know what? No, you belong to us. And they were like, okay, it's time for civil war. So now they're fighting the Earth people. And so you are the guy named Reyes. For some reason, he has a Hispanic name, but he looks like the guy from Quantum Leap. And then his friend or his partner, this girl that sticks with him all the time, she looks Hispanic, but her name is Salter. So it's like maybe they messed up and got the name switched around. I don't know what's going on with that, but anyway. And then there's this robot named Ethan, and there's a special place in my heart for Ethan because Ethan is badass. Ethan is cool. He's one of my favorite characters of 2016. It's kind of weird that he has a regular, a personality like a regular human without having the facial expressions of a human. But he's really cool. He fights along with you. And there's a little bit of animosity towards him because he's a robot. A lot of people look at him like he can't be trusted, or he's not a real Marine, or he's not a real one of the group. He's a little bit of robot racism going on between him and the Marines, and they don't look at him as an equal or as a partner or anything like that. But he's proven himself to Reyes enough times to where Reyes is like, dude, you're my brother. And I thought that was really touching. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that part of the story. So every mission that had Ethan in it, I really enjoyed. And there's a little bit of the Titanfall wall running, Infinite Warfare as well, but it's not the same. He runs a little bit slower than they did in Titanfall. The game's not really about that. The game is just, purely about shooting. One cool thing you can do though is you can hack. There's a bunch of robots that you fight. And, they do the Terminator 2 thing or the Terminator 1 thing where you shoot them and then they break apart, and then the top torso, the upper section of them is crawling towards you, and then you got to shoot the top, shoot that before they detonate on you, the typical thing. But the cool thing that they do is you get these hackable upgrades, and you can hack into the robots and become the robot, kind of like a mind jack type thing. And you become that robot for a few minutes or a few seconds, and you get to shoot all the other, robots around you, all the bad guys around you. And then, eventually you self-destruct, and you get to stand beside, your favorite robot that you want to shoot, or that you didn't have enough time to blow up or whatever. And then you get to blow them up with your explosion. And then you go back into yourself again, and I don't know, I like that part of it. And another cool part that I really like is the space battles. They're real short, or are they short? I don't know, but I really like the space battles because they're fighting on the ground. They're shooting all kind of people, and then they just hop in these planes, and they just take off, and you see all the clouds whipping past you, and then all of a sudden you're in space. And you see all the battles going on. It's like a whole bunch of explosions and lasers, flying around up in space. And then you start fighting in space while you're in your fighter jet. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of sections where you're in zero gravity. You have a grappling hook, and you're kind of Mortal Kombat Scorpion. Get over here, to dudes, and then you start breaking their mask and taking their oxygen from them, or leaving them without any oxygen. And yeah, it's pretty cool. The whole world, you rotate, for whatever reason. I don't know why you want to do this, but you rotate the whole world. And when you're in zero gravity, you can spin around and all that stuff. Yeah, the game is really cool. So of all three of those games, my favorite game of the big shooters, the three big shooters in 2016, would have to go to Titanfall 2. It has the most fluid motion, the most fluid controls, and that parkour, those levels are just a breath of fresh air and just something different, and the most different, and then there's sections where they bring up a topic, you go through it, and they never touch it again. You just get one time just to play that section, and I think that's pretty cool. The biggest thing about gaming is the loop of doing a certain thing a million times. No matter how cool that thing is, you do it a million times, and it's gonna get old, and you're gonna get sick of it. You're not gonna want to do it again. They don't wear out their welcome with their mechanics. You do something, you might do it twice, and you'll never see it again the whole game. So I really appreciate that about Titanfall 2. The story is pretty good. The story's decent enough. I think I enjoyed the Infinite Warfare story a little bit better. But Titanfall 2 story, the robots, for some reason they talk to you. It's kind of weird at first because they don't look like they should be able to talk to you, but they do. But so yeah, Titanfall 2 wins it for me. So what do you guys think? Have you guys played any of the shooters? Let me know which one you guys enjoyed the most. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.